Due to popular demand, I'm going to react to the Gladiator II trailer. I don't have high hopes, but let's see how bad it actually is.
I never knew a mother nor a father.
You will be my instrument.
Who are you?
Okay, Denzel Washington's casting. Were there black sub-Saharans in ancient Rome? Well, there certainly weren't many, but they did exist. Could they have been people of power though, like Denzel Washington here, who is allegedly quite a wealthy merchant? Well, there were black gladiators, and after retirement, gladiators would sometimes become gladiator trainers and bodyguards. So this is certainly within the realm of possibility. I also want to comment on the beards. Although traditionally we like to think that Romans, especially the aristocrats, were clean shaven, but however in between the period of Hadrian and Constantine, beards became quite fashionable, so this is also within the realm of possibility, so good job.
Did you hear that crowd? The greatest temple.
Oh my gosh. So Rome the city looks all wrong. On the left I assume is a statue of Augustus, and oh my gosh, why isn't he painted? All statues in the classical age were painted in lifelike colors. This statue over here would have been seen as unfinished. Also the rest of the city, it should have also been painted. So all of this beautiful white clean marble should have been in different colors. Also the inscription on the triumphal arch, I'm not quite sure what it says, but I think it says something along the lines of glory in Rome across the world or something like that. Well, triumphal arches, they always commemorated a victory, a triumph, for they were ultimately propaganda for the emperor who erected it. So an emperor's name should certainly be on this arch somewhere, but I simply don't see any evidence of it. Also, there's absolutely no reliefs carved onto it. In reality, it should be richly decorated. It should tell the story of an emperor's great victory. And also, why isn't the road paved? We aren't talking about some barbarian backwater. This is the center of Rome. It should be beautiful. I think the armor of the cavalrymen, the scaled armor, looks really good, so good job there.
The greatest temple Rome ever built. The Colosseum.
Oh gosh, the Colosseum. That is the modern name. Back in the day, it was known as the Flavian Amphitheatre, so that's a bit weird, that scene. As for the flooding of the Colosseum over there, it did certainly happen. Water from the aqueducts were diverted into the arena so they could hold mock battles like what we're seeing right here. But this only really happened in the first few years of the Colosseum in the 1st century. By the time of the 3rd century, when this film is set, well, lots of infrastructure and rooms were built below the floor, which we can see today. So after that was built, they obviously couldn't flood the arena like that anymore, but it does look very cool. And one more thing, the amphitheater looks quite incomplete. There would have been huge sailing ship style rigging on the top of it, so it could provide shade for everyone. I suppose it would have obscured what was happening inside the arena though, so I understand why the filmmakers made it the way it is.
Believe it. Power.
Oh my gosh, the person falling into the water. Well, modern bullets don't even have the power to push someone off like that, yet alone an ancient bow and arrow. I assume that was Emperor either Geta or Caracalla. They were supposedly, they fashioned themselves on Alexander the Great, so I think they look broadly accurate, but the hair could have been a bit wavier, and the clothes look quite Eastern and decadent, which is consistent with their historical depictions. And oh boy, from this shot, I think we can say quite clearly that Rome has been whitewashed.
Arena Eastern slave.
Oh my god, what battle is Gladiator II depicting? This looks more like Saving Private Ryan than ancient Rome. Fastly contested landings were very, very rare. In a siege, the ships were typically used to deny resupply of that city, so they rammed or boarded or shot at enemy resupply ships. They sometimes did carry artillery as seen here, but they would have been simple ballistas, so shooting missiles at other ships and soldiers. Catapults, or more accurately nagas, were generally only used on solid ground. They threw 30, 40-ish kilo rocks at walls, and the recoil, as you could imagine, would have been absolutely incredible. They could have honestly capsized these ships, and also carrying hundreds of kilos of these huge rocks would have been incredibly impractical. And also, why are these rocks on fire? That would have been hugely dangerous on a wooden boat, even assuming they could have done it, which I doubt. And what are they aiming at? They're aiming at a stone wall. Fire would have done absolutely nothing. The Romans also didn't have artillery that exploded, I'm afraid. This definitely looks more World War II than ancient Rome for sure.
Slaves into gladiators, the gladiators into free men.
Oh my god, look at that little amphitheater. It's got awnings. That one is definitely accurate. I like it.
This is about survival! Survive! Hold together, and when the charges break for the wall.
Oh my god, what is that rhino doing? I'm pretty sure there were rhinos in ancient Rome, and they were using gladiatorial games occasionally because it's been recorded in history. Whether gladiators ever rode and fought them though, I'm not so sure, but it's within the realm of possibility, so I'm fine with it being in a film.
The general will do.
I'm okay about that. Romans didn't really have crossbows, and anyway, gladiators didn't really use bows and arrows at all. Quite understandably, gladiatorial games, well, they were a spectator sport, and fighting hand to hand is far more exciting than shooting someone from a distance.
Rome must fall. I need only give it a push.
Oh boy, Rome must fall, I need only give it a push. What an absurd statement, especially from an ex-slave. Apart from Hannibal or maybe the Cimbri tribe, nobody genuinely wanted Rome to fall. Many wanted to be the emperor and wanted to see the emperor to fall so they could rule. But a revolution, the destruction of the Roman state, that wasn't really conceptualized. For the idea of Rome was eternal. Hence, even when Rome did fall, the idea of Rome and ruling Rome never did. Barbarian leaders like Charlemagne sought the legitimacy one could only get from being the emperor of Rome. Gladiator II over here is clearly depicting a modern idea inspired by modern revolutions. And you only need to give Rome a push for Rome to fall. Well, firstly, who the hell are you saying that? I also want to say, in this century the film's depicted in, Rome would soon be subjected to invasions from almost every side. It would be embroiled in a century of civil wars. Its whole economy would crash, and yet it did not fall. And when it did fall, about 200 years after this time, the idea of Rome would never die. Especially considering the context of this time, I think it's quite a ridiculous statement.
Belonged to Maximus. Now I give it to you. What is the dream of Rome? The people are not free.
I don't know the context of this statement because I've only seen the trailer, but for freedom in Rome, it meant the freedom of its citizens. Romans were known as the last free people in the world, not because they had a republic, rather it's because their city was the last city, in their knowledge, to not be ruled by outsiders. Once again, I feel this is an anachronism. I'm trying to fit our modern ideas of citizenship and the nation state into ancient Rome. Quite simply, freedom was only for Roman citizens, and if you wanted freedom, you wanted to become a Roman.
I was owned. Now I will control an empire.
Despite the incoming instability of the 3rd century crisis, where barbarians like Thrax became emperors, it only happened because he had control of a huge army, and it happened during the year of the 6 emperors. So in ancient Rome, a lot of your respect and legitimacy came from your birth status. Thrax, despite his military power, was never really accepted by the people and the senators. Ancient Rome wasn't America. There wasn't the idea that everyone was born equal and had the same right for greatness.
I will not waste another generation of young men for their vanity.
Well, by the 3rd century, I'm afraid there were pretty much no more Italian soldiers. Everyone who wanted to be part of the army were from the provinces or were barbarians, and they were in the army for monetary gain. And once again, I think this is an anachronism, trying to apply modern anti-war sentiments onto ancient Rome. So that was my reaction to Gladiator 2. Did you have any thoughts? If you did, let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.